All right. Good evening, all. You are highly welcome to today's Safeoclock Health and Safety Interactive Workshop. So I'm happy to welcome all of us again today. So like our custom has been, we start up with a brief presentation, after which we'll now go into discussions, sharing our experiences and our knowledge. So I'll start up with the presentation. My presentation will take less than 5 or between 5 and 10 minutes. I'll be done with my presentation. Then we'll give room for us to discuss the topic of the day. All right, I hope you can see my screen. Today's topic is effective use of safety signages in the workplace. So that is what we'll be discussing today. And in the few minutes of my presentation, I will look at the definition of signage. I will also talk about the importance of safety signage in the workplace. I will also go into types of workplace signages, and I will also look at some of the legal requirements or standards of safety signage. Okay, signage is something that everybody is familiar with. It's something that both professionals, health and safety professionals and non-professionals, everybody is familiar with safety signages. But why are we deliberating on this today? We need to go in depth and enlighten ourselves on the importance of this common piece. It looks so common in the workplace. It looks like some places it gets abused, some places it gets overlooked. But in our discussion today, we'll be able to bring in some of the importance, some of the reasons why we need to incorporate signages into our control measures in the workplace. So what are those signages? Safety signage is a type of visual communication tool that is designed to warn people and of potential hazards and provide that helps to warn people of potential hazards, helps to provide instructions on safe procedures. It can also be used to identify locations, identify equipment, identify hazards or dangerous locations. So these are safety signages. Signage helps in creating safe work environment. Some people will argue that signage should be a last resort. That is an argument that we can all deliberate on and say if signage is really supposed to be a last resort or should be incorporated as a first resort in the control measures. Now let's talk about few importance of or the standards of workplace signage or safety signages. The first one is American National Standards for Safety Signs and Colors, ANSI Z535.3 of 2011. So this American standard is responsible for regulating the types of workplace signages, the colors, the location where they are supposed to be placed. Another standard is BS 5499, is a standard that is responsible for ensuring that the signage are properly designed, and is also covers the details in the use of signages, where they are placed, the distances where they are supposed to be placed as per UK standard. Also, Health and Safety Regulation 1999, Safety Signs and Signals of UK is also another standard that provides information on how to maintain safety signs, the significant risks that could be avoided or controls by the use of those safety signs. So these are some of the basic standards that we can look into or we can quote when trying to implement safety signage in our workplace. So there are few important reasons why safety signages should be implemented in the workplace. The first one is a legal requirement. The legal requirement in the sense that some locations or countries or local authorities require that you provide safety signages, identify hazards, identify unsafe equipment or safe equipment. So it's a legal requirement that you will have to comply with. The other one, it helps in communication. Safety signages is a tool that helps in communication. Communication in the sense that it communicates the hazards, it states the location of the hazard, it tells you the type of hazard that is available in that location, and it also keeps theft away, keeps criminals or burglars away by telling people to keep away by identifying the type of things are in those locations. For instance, if you have watchdogs in your location or in your building, and you decide to put dogs available here. So it helps to keep criminals or intruders away. Now, another important is safety signages is a form of education to new employees, visitors, people that are not familiar with your workplace. Those signages can guide them. It can be directional signages, it can be restricted areas, it can be places allocated for training or for induction. So safety signages is a form of, provides a form of education to people who are not familiar with that workplace or that work site. So if there are no safety signages, the people could get into trouble or get into unauthorized locations. Another important is safety signage can function as a form of security to the premises. For instance, where you have restricted areas or you have areas that are restricted to only employees or maybe certain authorized people. So you can use safety signages to keep people away and to ensure that only authorized people have access to those locations. Another important of safety signages is it can help in prevention of accidents and incidents. For instance, if a particular equipment is defected or a particular equipment is faulty, and you have a signage stating that this equipment is faulty, do not operate. So certainly it will help to prevent any incident that would have occurred if there was no proper communication, if there was no information, and if nobody is aware of the condition of that equipment. So safety signages can help in preventing incident and accident. So let's look at some of the types of safety signages based on ANSI regulation or standard. The first one is warning signs. Warning signs is help to alert people of potential hazards such as falling objects, electrical hazards, slippery objects, and in describing them is usually in yellow background with white symbols and text. Another type of signage is mandatory signs. This will all the signs that makes it compulsory for certain things to be done. For instance, PPE signs where you say safety helmets must be worn. So these are types of signs that you must put in place. And the color is white background with blue symbols and text. Another type of signage is prohibition signs. This is the type of sign that that is used to say that certain things are not allowed to be done. So it comes in with a circular form and a diagonal bar trying to stipulate that those things should not be done. For instance, no smoking, no entering. So all those prohibition signs, no mobile phone allowed. So those type of signs comes under prohibition signs. Another type of sign is safe condition sign. So this type of signs is used to identify safe areas where you can get refuge. For instance, the assembly point, first aid balls. So those safe locations where you get refuge or you are required to get safety in the event of emergency. So you will use this type of signs, and they are in green background with white symbol or text. Now, another type is fire safety signs. So this type of signs is used to designate most of the fire fighting equipment. For instance, the fire extinguishers, the locations. So in color, it comes in red background with white symbols. So these are some of the types of signages, and we have actually looked at the importance and where they are supposed to be implemented. So this is, I do not want to complete everything about the signages, so I would like to give room for others to be able to take it up from there. So thank you for your time, and let's hear from others.
Yes, good evening all. Let me just chip in one or two things based on what Mr. Johnson has said so far. Basically, I would just want to start from the angle that says when we look at the effective use of workplace signages or whatever, or safety signages in the workplace, it's basically essential for communication, okay? In which respective industry, in whichever way we approach it, it's all about communication, okay? So whether we are shouting or not, or whatever, it's all about communication, okay? So now, workplace signs are essential for communication, like I've said, because it disseminates crucial information to the employee. Okay, so they play a kind of a pivotal role in preventing accidents and injury and ensuring there's a safe and healthy work environment for everyone. Okay, so like Mr. Johnson has said about the types of signages, as we all know from our elementary or basic safety, we have the warning sign or signage, we have the caution signage, we have the mandatory signage, we have the safe condition signages and all that. So many signages like that, you know. So all this encompasses within these types of signages we talk about. Now, I want to emphasize on what we call like a placement and visibility of safety signage. Now, we don't just put signages in any kind of places because we want to communicate. There are areas within our respective industry that we believe that should have these signages, you know, and for what purpose, you know. In some situation where there's an high traffic, like maybe an high traffic area, it is expected that at least signs should be placed in such an area, you know, for maybe like for a pedestrian or vehicle traffic, you know, such as probably entrances, exits, hallway, work areas, and things like that. Especially those who work in the factory industry where you see forklift and all that, move materials and all that. So these are kind of high traffic areas. Okay, so and another area where we could place signage for its visibility is high potential hazardous zone. Okay, because in our workplace, there are some areas we know that they are of high potential of hazard. Okay, so such kind of area, this safety signage need to be pasted there to be able to communicate the risks or the hazard present in such location. And also, in terms of clear line of sight, you know, most especially you see that in the factory setting or industry, whereby you see there's a kind of marking on the floor, which designate that, okay, this is where a forklift or should be able to pass, this is where pedestrian is supposed to take, this is the safe, you know, all those kind of sign, you know, could be able to communicate a lot of information, you know, in order to prevent accident or injury. And one important thing again is that in placing signage for its visibility, we need to look at an appropriate height. We cannot put a signage that is far, far, far above our eye level and far, far below, you know, our eye level. So it is expected that the signage will be placed at least at the level of the eye and a little bit above and below so that one can be able to visualize it properly in order for us to have an appropriate communication regarding this safety signage in the workplace. And just like Mr. Johnson have said, we have different regulation or regulatory requirements for safety signage. In the US, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, which is known as OSHA, they have standard or requirements for safety signages. The ANSI, which you have said, American National Standard Institute, has some requirement for that, and also the National Fire Protection Association, still from the US anyway. So you could see that in the US, they have a lot of requirement regulations covering a lot of things when it comes to safety. They don't joke with it. And also the ISO, International Organization of Standardization. There are provisions and requirements for safety signage in our respective workplace or industry as well. So when I want us to now look at the best practice for maintaining safety signage, it's not about we having signages on the site for communication. Do we maintain it? Sometimes you go to some sites, you see that maybe the summer has affected the visibility of this signage, so that's why from our side as a safety practitioner, when we've installed the signages, we need to do a kind of regular inspection. Frequently, we need to inspect the signages for any damage, fading, missing information, and also we replace them if it is damaged. We also need to update. There's a need for an update of the from the information board. Some signage might be outdated. Maybe they might be due to regulation. Things might have changed. So these are the reasons why we need to maintain. We need to inspect, do a lot of things to make sure that the necessary changes are made. And also, there's a proper cleaning. If it's dusty or things like that, it needs to be cleaned so that the visibility will be maximum for the employee. Because if it's not well maintained, then the aim of communicating such signages to the employee or the workforce is defeated. Okay, so now I want us to look at another angle of integrating safety signage with other safety measures. It's like when we look at personal protective equipment, we see in as much as you are telling employee to use their PPE, you see in our respiratory side, like in the construction side, you see how we display those things. Full PPE, your hand gloves and all those. So in a way of communicating the safety signage, you discover that we are already integrating safety signage with other safety measures on the site. Okay, so you look at another aspect of safety training. Use of sign as part of our safety training program to reinforce key safety message and procedure is very, very important. And also in terms of emergency procedure, you might have a kind of complex documented written procedure, but sometimes when you look at signage will just give you a brief step, of how you can do your evacuation, what to do in case of fire, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Before you know it, the information has been communicated. Okay, so when you look at things like that, you discover that we've been able to integrate safety signage into our safety measure within our respective site. So it is important, just like as Mr. Johnson have said, educating employee on maintaining, will I say, educating employee on the meaning and importance of safety signage is very, very important, because they need to understand what signage is all about, and what the importance of having it on the site. Okay, so it's not just putting it that we are communicating it. We need to let them know what it is, what is important, and how do we do this. We do it through training session. We have to conduct training session. We need to create room for questioning and answer. We need to bring out a way of reviewing feedback from employee, and also try to institute or initiate ongoing communication regarding safety signage in order for us to have a kind of well-informed employee. And also monitoring and reviewing the effectiveness of the safety signage is also important. It's not about just having it, how we monitor, how we review the effectiveness, because you cannot have such on your site and it's not effective. If it's not effective, it will create a lot of issue. You understand? So monitoring it, reviewing the processes and all that is very, very important. I think I would like to stop my discussion at this point so that I create room for other people to make 1 or 2 contributions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen, for that valuable contribution. I'm so glad we have a lot of people in attendance today, and everybody is paying keen attention to our discussion. Who is the next person that is going? Who is taking up next? The floor is open for that contribution. Are we there? We can hear me at all?
Yes, so we can hear you.
Mr. Francis, you are still on the way? I mean, Francis Saudi.
They cyber, so
I
was that now who hear me or these days are the late.
We can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay, I think I will soon come down in less than maybe 5 minutes. Sure.
All right.
Yeah, he's on the ball. He's in the bus, so
Yeah.
he might
Okay,
not be able to communicate
Mr.
properly.
David, go ahead.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Yes, I just want to make my own observations and like putting a few comments regarding this topic. The use of signages and the sites. Usually, we find out that some of these signages are only being taken care of by the safety department. There are some scenarios whereby we find signages which were installed to create awareness or to pass some information. We find them being abused by the construction team. They give little or no attention to the signages. They remove these signages without information. They mess up these signages without information. So this is a major challenge we encounter in the sites concerning signages. So you find out that you place a signage and the next day you come, you see it being messed up by maybe concrete or paint. And then you start to ask questions why this is happening, and everybody feels that it's just a mistake, it's just a signage. So having a basic knowledge and understanding of the importance of signage and the respect to signages will go a long way to maintain the signages itself. Aside from people just seeing it as a mere thing, when something becomes in your environment for a long time, it becomes normal to you. You don't even pay attention to it anymore. So signages should be eye-catchy, and most times the pictures itself is what even draws the attention there. Most people here, especially in the Middle East, they don't pay attention to the write-up. They pay attention to the pictures, the pictogram, except if it's a signage which is translated in a certain language that catches the eye of the people you are trying to pass the information to. So those are just my contribution and observations I have come to realize in so many sites. Thank you.
Yes, let me complement or add to what he just said. Okay. Now, like I will always say, sometimes that's the bigger challenges most of us get, especially those of us in the Middle East. Because, when you deal with some certain group of people, okay, or races of people, their mentality, the way I see their mentality is really alarming. Okay. Why I'm saying this is that it is good you make reference to even within the Middle East. See, I will tell you, if you go to some countries all over the world, you hardly see people abusing this because their mentality when it comes to safety is different. You see, over the years, it's just that things has been able to grow to a certain level, maybe because of the rapid, probably infrastructure development within the Middle East and probably part of Asia. And also because, when there's a rapid development like that, so a lot of issues will arise in terms of accident and all that, whereby people will have to implement a lot of things, and probably maybe those people who manages those projects or the companies who had those projects were coming from maybe the US, the Europe, and things like that, where there have been good standard. You see, especially like in the Middle East, you see a lot of people abuses these things because I still keep saying it, and I'll keep advocating for it, that it should be a requirement for every project manager, okay, any project manager or any senior management team to have a basic, in fact, even at the level of Nibosh, in terms of safety. The reason is that many of them are ignorant. Many of them are ignorant of so many things. And because of their level within the organization, they always feel safety. I've seen a lot of things whereby I found myself in a project whereby some people just see safety as even, a male labor because of the way the organization is structured. You understand? So sometimes these are the challenges. If in a project, the safeties are not valued, who will value safety signage? No. But when we have an organization whereby, things work properly, you discover that they don't joke with it. They don't joke with it. We've had series of webinars that even somebody have give instances where I think he work in one of those energy or petroleum company or things like that, that even a labor, had to stop. I think maybe a project manager or somebody from going into whether a confined space or something like that, because he was not using his what's the name of this that normally detect this gas? I've forgotten the name. So he has to work just a normal labor who is like a watcher, because this is where things work. This is where things work properly. Then you discover that you can do your work effectively, even as a safety. And this issue of signages are well communicated that even those within the top management, they understand the implication of all these things. But most of the challenges comes from where you see people, they have zero knowledge and are not interested in safety, just based on some local regulation. That is why you find them just putting safety in the field, just to fulfill all regulatory requirements and all that. So it's a challenge that we'll keep facing, but we'll still keep doing our job, and we'll still keep communicating and preaching to those management that are involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen, for that admonitions. And David, thank you for your contribution. It's part of that, those things that we'll keep facing, but we will not stop. We'll continue preaching and we'll continue moving on. I've seen a situation whereby safety signages, somebody was trying to pack waste in the site, in the construction site. He didn't see packer or anything. The nearest thing he saw there was a safety signage that was on the wall. He just pulled it off and used it as a packer. That happened in one construction site that I worked on. So it's something that is inherent, and it requires our intervention and continuous education and communication to change the mindset and the understanding of people as regards to these communication tools. All right, so if someone else has something to contribute, can go ahead. Are we all there? Andrew, are you back? Mr. Pascal. Oluwaseyi as well. So if anyone else has something to contribute, you can go ahead. If not, then we can call it a day.
Okay.
Okay, Andrew, go ahead. It seems you are still on the way.
No, I'm in the busy road.
Okay. Okay, I thought that was much. No problem.
Okay. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Mr. Francis.
It has not been easy. I just arrived my lodge now. Actually, I had a job change. So formally, I closed in my former company on by 5 p.m. But now I'm closing by 6 before the vehicle will take us to our various destinations, different lodge. So we are using different lodges here, so it's not easy. The topic today is very interesting, and like what I will just say is that in an organization where safety is being valued, signages are also being valued because it becomes a culture of such organization. I remember before leaving my former company, as at last year, I used over close to 40,000 Saudi riyal to prepare safety signages alone. And the signages go a long way to create and impart different knowledge to especially some of our workforce who cannot read. But seeing the signages alone, these signages go a long way to give them a new approach, because in the pictogram, you see how it is supposed to be done professionally. Now, some of these persons, they can't read, but these signages goes to tell them practically that this is what is expected from them when they are carrying out this kind of tasks. Yeah, the signages, as you said, are needed in some important places, area where we have high risk, busy areas. But yes, the signages are sending different messages as it related to operations in the construction industry. So, like my new company now, the first thing I asked the guy I met there was, we are lacking adequate signages, because this is what I believe, and I believe that the signages will go a long way to reorient our people, as we are already having a better culture. This is a new base. And the guy said, yes, we've a request for new signages. We are expecting the permanent signages. And today again, I was like, the issue of the signage, where are we? And he said, yeah, by Saturday, we're going to push to see how we can get them delivered to site. Because I know the importance of signages. I know how people react when they see some signages in the work environment. And there are some persons who also do not understand these signages. They tend also, when they see the signages, learn and ask colleague why this one is here and what is the main purpose. So they get used to the signages and their functions and their purpose more faster than even we communicate verbally to them. So signages to me are very important in our construction industry, because the message they send also creates the culture and the safety message of zero incident, of people trying to have an approach on how things should be done, how people should behave, the behavioral attitude. Signages are also there to create a behavioral attitude, how people should handle certain tasks, or how they behave in the site. So I could say signages are very important, and this is a very good topic. We are learning every day on certain different topics that are being presented on this platform. It's just that, when the man just enter road like this, called Richards, sometimes they add me to talk. But for me, I will really say I appreciate this topic, because it makes me learn some other different thing on this important and effectiveness of signages in the construction industry.
Yeah, thank you very much for your contribution, Mr. Francis. Is there any other person that has one or two things to say? Let me give such an opportunity for such individual. Anyone want to say one or two things? Mr. Harrison, it's been a while. Anyway, in the absence of none, and before probably we end the section, I just want to emphasize one or two things regarding signages. You see, it's one thing I discovered about signages is that it pass a lot of information that you might discover that there's an information you want to pass across, which if ordinarily you type it, will be coming out like 5 or 6 pages. But in just a single picture or pictogram or a single page of signage, you discover that you've been able to pass across multiple information. Okay, so it's important. It's not about the signages that depict the use of PPE alone. You know, there are signages that could tell how somebody falls from heights, what will happen. You know, it could be signages that can depict an injury. You know, it could be picture and signages that depict or paint the picture of a particular hazard. You know, how it looks like, how it will appear if one is caught in between. You know, so it's, for me, it's very, very important, no matter how we see it. Okay. Just like Mr. Johnson said earlier, you discover that even in some places or in some facility, they will tell you that there's CCTV camera here. Okay, this is also to alert you so that you'll be conscious of what you are likely to do there or not to do. You know, so it is very important. It's very important that in our respective places, such things should be communicated. It's not only in the construction side that we see signages around. Even in a normal road, you know, and where the vehicle passes through and all that, you discover that there are road signs, which we know. Normal road, not even road that has been done during construction, just normal road that depicts speed limit, where you need to go, where you need to. So for me, signages is all about communication. And without communication, how do you get to your destination? How do you get your job being done? You know, it's just a kind of flashcard. I would just say a flashcard of communicating complex information. We try to bring it into a one page or one picture information. So thank you very much. Like I've said, if anybody still have one or two things, please let us know. If not, we could just end the session at the moment. Thank you.
Good evening, all.
Yes.
Hello. Good evening, my amiable mentor, Mr. Steven. And good evening, everyone. Today, very interesting topic. People may think it's a very simple topic, but I believe it's an interesting topic in the sense that, like rightly said, signages is one of the means of communication that cannot be overemphasized. Yes, a picture they say what 1,000 words. That is signages for you. There are signages that are made for information. There are signages that are made for prohibition. There are signages that are there to, tell you about mandatory requirements or something of that nature. There are signages that different type of signages and have their own standard also. color code. You understand? So signages is very, very important. And care for signages also is important because when signage become defaced, then the essence of placing these signages in a particular place may be may not be realized because it's becoming defaced, right? So we also to care for the signages, maintain them, change them when necessary. Okay. So, for example, if you are having a confined space, you are expected to identify this confined space and place a signage there. And this signage is going to read confined space, permit require or non permit require confined space. Okay? So, signages is very, very important. Also, work attached area, you could have signages for drop objects around the work attached area, exclusion zone. These are all means of communication that cannot be overemphasized. Okay? Just the same way you are going to send an email, the same way you're going to send a memo. You understand? The signages also is being used to pass a message across to the site personnel, visitors, workers, whoever that's going to be entering the site. Okay? Like you already said, speed limit on the road. These are signages as well. Okay? Telling you it is 80, it is 100, it is 120, it is 30 in terms of construction area, for example, it is 50, like this. So signages are very, very important. We cannot overemphasize it. Okay? And getting it right is okay, again, if you talk about electrical house or working in electrical environment, you have a lot of signages will come to play. Okay? You have electrical shock will be there, warning signs will be there, all of them. So signages is very, very important. Even your temporary storage has a signage that must be there after your exclusion zone. Okay. It might just my little contribution. I know a lot must have been said because I came late. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Steve. Thank you so much.
Thank you for making your contribution. Thank you. So, in the absence of no other contribution, I think we'll call it a day. Hope to see you guys next week. And I pray next week will be an engaging discussion when Mr. Johnson will roll out the topic for the coming week. So thank you very much, everyone, irrespective of where you are connected from. I wish every one of us a wonderful weekend. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Steve. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, thank you very much. David, long time. Thank you.
Yeah, long time.
Thank you, everyone. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you to all.
Thank you very much.